Hey, yes you, are you almost done with CPA? Then here is a message to you. Welcome to BDA Insights, home to business data analytics examined by KASNEB. BDA Insights, where competency meets customer satisfaction. I am your tutor CPA Lusenaka. Enroll with us to access a conducive and elaborate learning experience during this last mile of becoming a CPA. Our learning model entails online classes, pre-recorded videos, and personal engagements. Please take note. 1. Market competitive fees. 2. All learning materials shall be provided.
Okay, I want to welcome you to BDA Insights. So here, as said earlier, we solve matters BDA, which is examined by KASNEB. So if you are a CPA student, obviously you must do the business data analytics as the final paper. So the paper is practical. Of course, most of you know that you do it in Excel. So today we will be looking at what was examined in the last sitting, under the taxation part. Remember of the 3 sections which are compulsory, that is the FR, FM, and MA. Then are selective sections, the audit part and the taxation part. So we want to look at the taxation part that was examined in the last sitting, because it entails something we call the pivot table and also the VLOOKUP function. So we'll see how we could have approached that one. So here's the question. Then maybe before we go to the question, so currently the September intake is on. September intake is on. And as said, we always work with favorable prices. Our prices are market competitive. They compete with what the other colleges are offering. So the intake is on. You can reach me via the number there, so that you can liaise and you get access to the timetable and also to the learning materials. So we always provide all the learning materials. You can hit me up on the number, whether via text, a call, or also via WhatsApp. So you can text me there and we will liaise on the way forward. So straight into the question without wasting much of the time. So here was the question. Then, so the examiner presents it. This one is called a page break. There is nothing wrong with this page. I know some students, they tense when they see the page break. It is just called the page break. So if you get this page break here, you come up down here, you can follow my cursor. You come down here, then you just click there. So it will not break on. But if it is clicked here, that's why it is on page break. Here there are cells, but the page has just been broken, just to clarify. So you just come and click in here if you want to have a full overview of the cell. So I'll read through the question. So, owing to public outcry and the implementation of various projects across the country, the National Treasury of your country has provided data relating to project implementation in the past 4 years. The data comprises project focus area, column, that is the AB, then bank data on projects, columns E and G, projects details broken down, column J onwards. An economic watchdog organization has approached you to help you analyze the data for the purposes of making a meaningful declaration on the data. So the data is in the next Excel sheet labeled question 25 data. So for this question, we had an extra worksheet. So you can see it was here labeled question 25 data. So if I can go to question 25 data, I will see this is the project and the project focus, the project ID, the date, the disbursement amount. So I can see it is a very large table. I can press Control Shift down arrow so that I go to the very last one down there. So press Control Shift down arrow. I can see it is 6,000. So it was a very large data set. Control up arrow to go back at the top. Then we can see an empty column here. The disbursement amount is empty. The project cost, the disbursement balance is also empty. The project variance and also the variance status. Okay, so that is the data that has been provided. Note the bank statement amount columns shown in the disbursement to the project ID, the bank statement amount. So I'll check which one is the bank statement amount. So as said, we say that here they have provided the project ID, the date, and the disbursement amount. I'll take this one up. So the note here was saying the bank statement amount column shown in the disbursement to the project IDs. Bank data up here, bank data on project is on column E and G. So E to G, so that is the bank data. Required using relevant formulas stroke function, fill the appropriate data to the bank columns, to the blank columns, M, R, U, V, W, and W. So fill the appropriate data. So we saw some blank. So the first one was M. So I'll come to this data. Then I go to M, the project focus. Then, okay, number 2, let's go through the question before we carry it out. Number 2, calculate the number of power connectivity projects implemented, the total number of money disbursed by the National Treasury, the average budget of social service projects in Nandi County. B, create a pivot summary of project allocated, the budget allocated per project, the amount disbursed per project focus item, the project cost and the administrative cost trend, showing the years and the months. But C, with summary in B above, create appropriate visualization with the below focus message, the budget allocated per project comparison. So this is visualizing what we call dashboard. So you use a comparison, the amount disbursed per project, you use proportional, so part of the whole, something like a pie chart. Then number 3, project cost and administrative cost trend, showing the years and the month trend analysis. So it is just you're presenting the information in part B in charts. So if we come back up here, using relevant formulas stroke functions, fill the appropriate data to the blank columns M, R, U, V, and W. Of course, these ones are in the next worksheet. These are the columns. Remember we said columns are labeled in alphabet. Up here, these ones are called columns. While these ones are called rows. They are labeled in numbers. It's called the A1 style. We also have another one which is called the R1, C1 style. But that one is not relevant. We just use the A1 style. So these are columns. So if I come to this data here, I go to M. I've been given the project focus. Then if you had gone through the question properly, you had been told up here, the data set comprises project focused areas, column A and to B, A, B, A to B. The column is to 2. It is a reference operator in Excel. So it is A to B. So these are the columns as said. And the A, B, C, these ones are called the column titles. So A, B, this one is the project focus. So what do I have in the project focus? I have the project, then I also have the project focus. But now if I come to this other table, I have the project. Of course, the project was there. So you look, what do we have in that other table? Well, what is common in both the two tables? So you'll see that here we have the project and the project focus, which is empty. But in the first table that was provided, we had the project and also the project focus. So with this table, you can easily get the project focus. So you know, if you start doing it manually, it will take you a lot of time. Because if you check higher learning, then you have to come back here. Then you look at higher learning, it goes to the project focus education. So seeds and something, this one here, seeds and fertilizer goes to agricultural. So what they want you to do, they want you to fill all of these columns here. Control Shift down arrow, up arrow a little bit, and you can see there are 6,000. So even if you go one by one, you're not able to finish. So that's why in Excel we have a particular formula called VLOOKUP. So it looks vertically. Vertically, it looks on the columns. Vertical is up, down. While we have another one called HLOOKUP, looks horizontally. So it looks on rows. But because our data is on columns, you can see, of course, we have been saying column A and B. So we will use VLOOKUP. You can also use an advanced one if you are working with at least Microsoft Excel 2015 and above, whereby it has what it is called the X lookup. So it can look both directions, whether vertically or horizontally. But in this case, so we will use V lookup, so equal sign. So we said you must start with equal sign anytime you want to put in a formula. Then V lookup. So you make sure the blue is on lookup before you press tab. So maybe if I can just go back to the basics and the introduction. These input values, e.g. the lookup value, the table array, the column index number, and the range lookup, they are called arguments. They are called arguments. And the procedure in which they go in is called a syntax. So you must follow the syntax of putting in the argument. So lookup value, what are you looking for? I'm looking for higher learning. Of course, that is the connection between the two tables. Then I do comma, table array, where are you looking it from? So I'm looking it from this table. I select the table. I select the table. You'll see that it has taken the whole table there. Table array. So it has taken table 36, all of it. Then I do comma. So the moment you put a comma, or I can go back here. So the moment I write the lookup value, I do comma so that I go to the next argument. So you must do that comma. So the next argument is the table array. So you select the table array, the table that you'll be getting from. Then you do comma. You see that the next argument becomes bold. So like now here, what is bold is the column index number. So the column index number, Excel counts from left to right according to your table. So because you are looking for the project focus, so we will count 1, then 2, then you do comma. You'll be asked an approximate match or an exact match. So of course we will go for an exact match, whereby we just press 0, or you can alternatively just click on the false, or you can place 0. The false is equals to 0 and true is equals to 1. The moment you do that, hit enter. So it will vertically look up for higher learning. I can put these ones in bold because they are the headings. So it will look for higher learning and put it to education. So I don't have to do it manually. I just come here and I double click the fill handle. This small black dot is called a fill handle. So you just come to the fill handle. You see that the cursor turns to a very small plus, then you double click. I can do Control Shift down arrow. I think. So you can see it has filled in for me the whole of column M, as easy as that. Then maybe just to clarify, our classes have already begun. So the early bird catches the worm, as the old saying goes. So consider enrolling with us because we are that really competent. Then, so that is M. So you can see we've done M. Fill in the appropriate data to the blank columns. So we go to look at R. So R is the disbursed amount. Of course, the disbursement will be coming from the bank. We were given the bank details. You can see now we have the bank details. Then you look for what is connecting the two. What is connecting the two tables? So here we have the project ID, we have the date, and we have the disbursed amount. In this other table that we are filling, you see already the project ID is our unique identifier. That one is what we will use as the identifier. So for you to get the disbursed amount, we just use also VLOOKUP. And maybe just maybe if maybe you are to be maybe really, you wanted to be really careful, maybe you feel that maybe a project might have been dispersed twice. I'll recommend that you don't use the VLOOKUP. What if a project has been done twice? We will introduce a new formula called sum if. So we can look for sum if. So equal sign, sum if, then I press tab. So again, we go to the arguments. So the first argument there is the range. Where are you summing from? So this one we will use as our common identifier. So we select, I come here, I do Control Shift down arrow, I press F4. So that is the range. The range is the project ID, comma, criteria. I'll be adding according to the same project ID here. Now this one I want lock. Then comma, the sum range. Where are you adding them from? I'm adding them from the disbursed amount. Control Shift down arrow F4. Then you can close the brackets. So remember the project ID and the disbursed amount, they must be of the same amount. Then I hit enter. Okay, because for me I like Control Shift down arrow. I like working with the accounting format. Just click on this comma so that I'm working at 2 decimal places with the 1,000 separator, the very important factor in that, with the 1,000 separator. I'll come again to the fill handle, then I double click. So you see, if we could have used VLOOKUP, we would have not been able to get this that was 0. So it means from that range, there is no amount that was disbursed to that project. You can see, and it is very long. So just use the fill handle. Just double click on it because they are going to 6,000. Control Shift down arrow. You can see the raw number is 6367. Control up arrow to go back up where I was. Control up arrow again, go up again where I was. So that is R. We filled in R. Then we go back to the question. We have U. So you have to fill in U. U is the disbursement balance. So what has remained? What has not yet been disbursed? Because the total disbursement is the total amount. The total amount of the project. So, of course, we will be using the cost minus the disbursed amount so that we get the disbursement balance. So here equal sign, I will check the project cost minus the disbursement amount. Then I double click. The project variance. Of course, variance is always the budgeted cost minus the actual cost. Then I come and I double click also. So that is the project variance. That it was just as easy as that. Then what else is there? The variance status. The variance status will be just the project variance divided by the, so it is budget minus, so divided by the budgeted amount. So you get what was the variance, RHP. Put them to percentages. You can add the decimals. The variance status, do I put it on cost? So I'm having a second thought whether should I put it on cost or should I put it on the budgeted amount? Having thoughts to put it on the project cost so that we see the variance status. So actually the budget was inflated. If the actual cost is 149, while the budgeted amount was 1.5 million. So it was overstated by almost 900,000. So I will come here and I double click percentages. So of course, these ones are the percentages. And this is actually what happens most time in our country. Of course, we had some concerns, of course, with CASS, owing to public outcry. So we had some concerns because the budget amount is very huge, but if you go to the actual cost, you can see that it has been overstated highly. So that is part one, M, R, U, V, and W. So the last one that we've done was W, V, U, R, and M. So we finished part one. Then we go to part two. Calculate the number of power connectivity projects implemented. So I check through my data. So we don't have the unit, but we have the project. So power connectivity, the number of them, the number of power connectivity projects implemented. So even if you go counting them like 1, 2, 3, you will not be able to get them and time will not be on your side. So we'll use another function called count if. So equal sign. What do they want? Okay, I can start by maybe copying it, power connectivity, control C. I come here, I do control V. Then I come here, equal sign, count if. Then I press tab. So the range, of course, I want to get the projects that were implemented. So I'll go to the projects, control shift, down arrow. So I don't know why okay. So control shift down arrow. Then I do comma. I go back to question 25. So if you check up here, that is the range. Then the next thing is called the criteria. So the criteria I'll be looking for power connectivity. Then I close the bracket, I hit enter. I will easily get that the number of power connectivity projects were 630. Then number two, the total amount of money disbursed by the national treasury. So I'll go to the disbursement table. Let me look so that one so by the national treasury, did we talk of the national treasury anywhere? Control home. Yeah. So I look to see where do I get the national treasury. Okay, the donors. So this one was already provided. We have here what we call the financer. The financer. So of course sorry for that. Of course the national treasury will be the government of Kenya. Because control C, control V. Of course, that is what comes from the government. So that will be then what are we looking for? The amount of money disbursed. So we'll be looking for which table, the disbursed amount. So we look the total amount that was disbursed by the National Treasury or the government of Kenya. So of course it will be equal sign. We will use sum if, so adding with a criteria. So the range, where are you adding from? So I'm adding from the finances, control shift down arrow. You can press F4, comma. Then the next argument is criteria. What are you looking for? So I'm looking for the government of Kenya, comma. Then the sum range. Where are you adding them from? The disbursed amount, so that I get the total amount disbursed by the government of Kenya. So I'll go to the disbursement, Control Shift down arrow, I press F4, I close the brackets, Control Enter. I always like using the 1000 separator. So you'll easily get that the total amount that was disbursed was around 53 million. Okay, then we go to part 3 of part 2, the average budget of social services projects in Nandi County. And the examiner was really tricky. You needed to have adequate knowledge of the functions. And of course, you will not, or you only get that with a competent tutor. If you are competent tutor. That's why I recommend you, because I think for our students in the last sitting, it is just that the results have not yet been released, but we went through most of the functions. So you see here, the average budget of social services, it will tell you you are going to use SUMIF. But again, we are told in Nandi County. So it becomes some ifs, multiple criteria. So social services and Nandi County, I can bring that in. Control C. I just placed it there. Control Alt V, because I don't want to copy it as a whole, including the formulas. So I just do Control Alt V. Then I just paste it as a value. Then I look for Nandi County. I recommend you just go and copy in from the data, because with these functions, the spellings, they do matter. So just copy how it was written. So I look for Nandi. So I prefer just copying it instead of rewriting it again. But Control Alt V, then I paste as values. So after I do so, I come to this cell, equal sign, sum ifs. So we have multiple criteria. And then maybe if you are working with the Excel, that is a version that is below 2016, SUMIFS is not available. So you could have not solved that one. So the best recommended version is from 2016 onwards. So SUMIFS, then I press tab. So here you can see the first argument is the sum range. Sum range. Where are you adding them from? So I'm looking for the average. Sorry. I will speak fast. The average budget, average if. And because there are many, so it will be average ifs. So average range, budget, control up. So I come here, control shift down, F4, very important, the F4, comma. Then, so that is the range, average range. Then criteria range 1, because you have 2 criteria. So criteria range 1, I will take the range of the social services. Control up. So of course, social services, they are under the project focus. So I come here, control shift down arrow, F4, very important, comma, then criteria. So because it was on social services, I'll pick social services as my criteria. Then I do comma, criteria range 2, so the one that is having the Nandi county. Control up, arrow. So that one is under county. Control shift down arrow, F4, comma. I go back, Nandi. Then I close my brackets. Control enter, Alt H There are 1,000 separator, control bold. So that is the average budget of social services in Nandi County. That is the formula there. Then we proceed. Part B. Create pivot summary of budget allocated per project, the amount disbursed per project focus item, the project cost and administrative cost trend. So the project allocated per project. So that one is on a pivot table. So this is how you could have done that. So I'll come here, I select including the typos. Control Shift, right arrow key, down arrow key. Select everything. Then you go to insert at the top left. You'll see pivot table. So then I'll click on pivot table. Then from table range, so I've already selected the table. That's why I recommend selecting it first. Then choose where you want the pivot table to be placed. So I'll want it on an existing worksheet. And because I want it on this worksheet number 25, I'll click on this up arrow key here so that I'm able to go to worksheet number 25, maybe somewhere down here. Then I click it in again, then I click OK. So there is a pop-up that will come up on this left called the pivot table field. Choose the fields you want to add the report. So what was the first one? Budget allocated per project. So I'll have in the project, I check the project. Then the other thing will be budget. As easy as that. So the sum of budget, so the budget allocated per project. I'll close the field list there. I can come in and I do my editing, Alt HK. So you can see you have the total budget down there. I can also put in the line, Alt HPA. Then I can also put in the title. So I'll click in, then I come in, I do Control C. I come here, I do Control V. I can merge them, merge and center, Control bold. Then I put an overall border, Alt HBT. You see now your pivot table works. It's very, very good. Then the amount disbursed per project focus item proportionally. So I can copy this table here, or you can redo the same process. Control C, Control V. I click in, then I'll go up here. You see that we are having another ribbon that came in. pivot table tools. So I'll click on analyze here. Then I will look for the field list. Then I click enter. Then I just have to change them. So what was it? The amount disbursed per project focus item. So I'll uncheck project, then I check the project focus. Then the other one, I can click in this down arrow key, then I do remove field. The other one was amount disbursed. So of course we calculated that one, disbursed amount. Let me check on value field settings. Yeah, but we can just use a chart for that. Oh, for the word. Oh, this one was on. This one was on the chart. This one was on the chart. So it was there. They didn't require. It is just the amount disbursed per the project focus. So it is just that way. I'll say it be A to put in the borders. Then project cost and administrative cost trend. Show the years and the months. Okay, I'll copy the pivot table because they were requiring pivot summaries. Control C, Control V. Then I click in, I go to analyze, I put in the value field settings. So that one was the project cost. So the project cost and the administrative cost trend. Showing the years and the months. So I also click on date. Let me put it on rows and remove field. So it is getting the dates as incomplete. So you'll realize that if I click on dates, I check the dates, they are coming to some of dates. Let me move it there. And you can see how the dates are appearing. They're not coming in as dates. So you can change the underlying data first. So I'll come here to question 25. Then I look at the dates. You can see how the dates were provided. The number, formatting. This exam tested on everything, and we always cover almost everything. So here, this one, you could have put it to date, put it to short date. So I'll do Control Shift down arrow. Then I come in here and I put it to short date. Control Shift down arrow. So I can see that all of them, they are in the date format. So if I come back, my pivot table could not. So cancel. Don't go deleting the cells. Sometimes they bring problems up here. So you must check first. You can click on this J and check to see if there is data touching on J. So if not, then you just do control minus. Control minus. Because there is no data up here because sometimes if you delete it, you can delete maybe your answers that we had already put in. So you must check before deleting. Then I'll copy the pivot table again, Control C, Control V. I go to Analyze, I go Field List. Then now I'll uncheck this one. Now if I click on Debt, this one coming this way. Let me do this one. Remove field list. Also remove field list. So I will just take the dates and I take them to rows. Then we also had the project cost. So I look for the project cost. I take them there. Then I also check the admin cost, administrative cost. So I also check them and I place them to values down here. Then I'll close that one for the meantime. I can come in here, Control Shift down arrow. Then I change from there to date. No, the dates have been distorted. Yeah, I'm having a, let me see. But here I've already changed. Oh, the pivot table. Sorry. The first pivot table that I used was not adding up. So I'll delete these ones first. This data was very long. So what I will do, I will redo the start from starting the pivot table. So we are winding up. So I'm having some blockage on the screen. So I will just go back to this data, Control up arrow. So I will come here. I press Control Shift, right arrow key, down arrow key. Then I go insert. Then I go pivot table from range. I've already selected the table. I just select the existing worksheet. I click up here. Then I come back to the worksheet number 25, whereby I'll place it there. I come in, I do OK. So now if I click on debt, why is it that it is taking me back to where I was? The date is distorted somehow. Let me see. I think we were value field setting. Okay, I'll click on number format from here. Then I put it to date. Then I click OK. The dates are not actually what I mean. Control Z. Or they are working. It is just that I'm not. Oh, for me, I'm just seeing 2020 alone. But they are working. They are changing. In fact, the month. You can see now from here we've gone to February, the second month, the third month. Of course, they are changing. So I was just looking at 2020. Let me go down there, control down arrow. Of course, they are good. Because here we have gotten 2024. Control up arrow. So that was the project cost. So I'll just select them. I select the project cost and I also select the admin cost. Then I will close that one there. So that one will be like that. You can put in the titles. I think this one is a wrong title. So I'll copy also this one. Control C, Control V. Doesn't want to unmerge. Let me unmerge it first. Then I go back. So it is the amount per project focus item. Control V. Then project cost, including the what has been provided there. Control V. So those are the pivot summaries. This one, the other one is very long. The one that is having the date. So until there, you can match them. Maybe I'll increase the size, but it is not that really. I can increase also from inside. Control bold, you can make sure Control Shift down arrow, Alt HBA. Am I using the 1000 separator? Control Shift down arrow, Alt HK, because these are amounts. So I just work with the and delete that one. The title is just to be small. Project cost and administrative cost trend. The amount disbursed per project and the budget allocated per project. So that is number B. Lastly, I'll be hurrying up with summaries in B above. Create appropriate visualization with the below focus message. The budget allocated per project. So I just select this one. Then I go to insert. I do recommended charts. So because it's comparison, if you are going to compare, then the column chart will be the best because you are trying to compare the values. What went to farm tools, what went to higher learning, what went to medical. So the column chart will be much appropriate. You can bring in the title, very important. You come in, Control V. So the budget allocated, and again, we always work comprehensively on the charts. So we could come in and also add in the titles, do some 1, 2, or 3, remove the legend maybe because I don't need it. You can also put in the data tables just to mention a few so that not the table, but I rather put in the label. So the label is just, it will just automatically say the exact amount there, something like that. Then this one, it was proportional, so part of the whole. So I'll put it in a pie chart. Then I can also show the data labels. So each, I can increase the size, something like that. Then maybe also you can move the chart with Control X. Just do Control X, the chart will, it has not disappeared. Then where you want it, you do Control V. So you just move it directly that way. Then lastly, it was the project cost and admin cost. I'll just select it like this, then Control Shift down arrow. Then, but I don't want the grand total. So I'll take from there. Then I'll go insert. Then I go recommended charts. This one I'll just use a line chart because it is trend. Just use a line chart. So you'll get the sum of admin costs, and also the sum of the project cost that way. So I was very down. So I just click in from this line up, then I do control X. I come to where I want to put the chart. So it was really down. Then somewhere there, control V. You put in the chart title. You click on this the plus icon, then you put in the chart title. You can copy directly. Also make sure the pie chart is having a chart title. You just copy directly from this one with control C, and then you paste it with the control V. So this is how you could have approached the question to get all the marks. Then just to say that we have already started our classes. So if you wish to enroll with us, because we actually ensure customer satisfaction, then if you go to that exam, you'll be well prepared. So I will leave my number in the description box down below. You can reach out, then I can enroll you to our class. Our class is currently of 5 students. So I can add you in, and we continue with the data analytics. So that is BDA Insights. Have a lovely day.